Well, hello, everyone. I'm Kirsten Hagland, and welcome to our very first episode of Bold Life. So what is this show all about? Well, Bold Life is going to be just a really, really exciting way to focus on issues that matter to you, that are empowering, that are interesting and positive. And we're just so incredibly excited to have you join us on this journey every Friday at noon. Bold Life is brought to you by Independent Women's Forum, which is a nonprofit dedicated to developing and advancing policies that aren't just well-intended, but actually enhance people's freedom, choices, and opportunities. So welcome. Our Bold Life show is going to help you live your boldest life. We'll cover entertainment, relationships, travel, life hacks, science, beauty, you name it. I'd love to tell you first a little bit just about who your host is. As I mentioned, my name is Kirsten. I live in New York City now, but I was born and raised in Michigan in the Midwest and kind of lived all over. My life has taken me from Los Angeles to school in Atlanta to here in New York City. And I also love to travel all around the world, but New York is home for now. The reason that I am so passionate about this show and about talking about everything really that matters in our lives is because even though I do political commentary and analysis and, kind of focus on some very serious stuff in my life, I've always been very, very passionate about things that affect the heart and trying to help people to find information and wisdom and insight on the things that touch their everyday lives. Part of that work and that passion started during my years Miss America. So I did happen to win the Miss America competition. I served in 2008. It's 10 years ago now, actually, which is just... time flies. I can't believe it's been 10 years. But during that year, I was able to travel the country and meet incredible people and do some very glamorous things and do some very non-glamorous things. But one of the greatest joys of that was being able to choose a platform issue to advocate for during my year. And because I had struggled with and overcame an eating disorder as a teenage ballet dancer, I decided that I wanted to talk about this issue. And from there, that really started kind of a lifelong passion to try to help raise awareness of mental health issues generally, eating disorders obviously more specifically because of my personal journey. I started a foundation. We raised money for mental health treatment and just kind of got on the speaking circuit from there. And now 10 years later, as I mentioned, I do political analysis and commentary. I have my foundation. I host a podcast on FaithWire News, and I also do community relations for a treatment center called Timberline Knolls in Chicago. So I have like lots of different hats, and now I'm lucky enough to be able to host Bold Live. So very, very exciting and really nice, especially I think as we start 2018. I think part of the reflection of looking back on the year in 2017, sometimes it can get us down a little bit because we all struggle with things. And from everyone in my group of friends, 2017 was kind of a tough year. So how do we refocus and recalibrate and create a new paradigm for 2018, one that we choose to focus on the things that are a little more positive, and what we input, we get out, right? So let's try to all of us together, right, create a place online, on Facebook, and with this show that is positive and uplifting and a place where you can come to be rejuvenated, restored, and hopefully learn something as well. So it's a joy to be here. It's a joy to be your host. And also just want to let you know before we jump into our first guest block that we are live on Facebook. And one of the great things about being live on the internet is we can take your comments. So you are part of this show. We want to hear what you have to think. If you have any questions for our guests or anything else that you want to say, we want to hear your voice because that's what we're here for. So all of that to say, welcome to Bold Life. And we hope that you enjoyed this show and every Friday to come. All right, so let's get to our very first guests. We have our headlines panel, which is going to be first up, and we are so excited to welcome Dr. David Greuner, a double board certified surgeon and the managing director and co-founder of NYC Surgical Associates. And we also have Kate Sheridan, a science writer at Newsweek with us. So welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
You're the very first guests on this show.
It's exciting.
It's amazing. So thank you so much. And we've got a lot to talk about, a lot of health issues. I mean, beginning of the year, resolutions are very much top of mind. And then, I don't know about you, but everyone that I know in New York is complaining about the flu. I have not gotten it yet, thank goodness. So we're going to talk about all of that. But diving in first to resolutions, which are kind of controversial, and I kind of don't love the concept of resolutions, but many people see it as a time to set a focus for the year. But according to Business Insider, 80% of people by now have already fallen way short, fallen off the train, or just given up on their resolutions completely. So how are you guys doing? Are you part of the 80%? Or
I am definitely in the 80%.
What were your resolutions?
My resolution was to be a bit more tidy at the office, get some papers under control, and
it's
great. No. I
Yeah.
haven't managed that yet.
Were you able to kind of start? Was it something like when you got back the first week, okay, I'm going to do this, and it happened, and then it kind of slid off, or was it?
A little bit, yeah. I think so.
Yeah. And how about you, Dr. Greuner? I mean, you're a doctor, so I'm sure that you're fine.
I'm a little bit more of an on-the-fly kind of a guy, but I think resolutions are great for a lot of people because they give them an objective timestamp for everything. So the problem is you have to stick to it.
Yeah.
I found a good way to stick to things is if you have a partner in your resolution, like a romantic partner, a friend partner.
Yeah.
Especially for fitness reasons and working out. It's just hard to get out of bed in this time. To get there before work. And if you have somebody that you're kind of have an obligation to, usually you can kind of back each other up.
Yeah. Did you have any resolutions that you set the year out with?
Kind of boring. I guess I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, it's a little overwhelming, right? Because you hear that you're going to fail on your resolutions anyway. And so why do that? And then it's such an arbitrary day, like January 1st, start a thing. And I totally get the objective time framing that does help people. But also, it was something that I was talking about with some other friends of mine who are active in the mental health field. And we're like, why not start December 26th or December 27th to like trick your mind into already doing it? An interesting concept. But speaking of resolutions and getting fit, which is one that a lot of people start with, which is so arbitrary and vague. It's get fit. But I hear that we are both, Dr. Greuner, flywheel fanatics.
I love flywheel. Speaking of objective stuff, I mean,
Yes.
they give you a power output, like it's by the second, by the minute, and you can compete with other people.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing. I mean, I compete with my friends all the time, and some of them get pretty intense about it.
Do you bring them to class and you guys all go up in the torque
We
board?
typically go as a group, yeah.
Okay, so I am officially a flywheel instructor as of December.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. Have you ever taken flywheel?
I haven't, no.
Yeah. Okay, well, you can come to my class. I will guest you in
Excellent.
for the first time so you can have the full flywheel experience. But yeah, it's measurable. It is so much fun. The music, like I used to be a dancer. I never taught fitness in my life, and but I love the music, and so that's what really gets me into it. So even if I'm tired or sore, it doesn't matter. I just have so much fun.
Depends what kind of person you are. I'm a very data-based kind of guy, so
Yeah.
when you have some numbers that are objectively measuring your performance, it just kind of drives you a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. Resolutions, not so great. Most people. What would you say, Dr. Greuner, you had some good advice about objectivity and then also finding a partner. Kate, a lot of people make resolutions about health, and you just wrote an interesting article about the flu and the flu season here in New York City. Can you tell us a little bit about your most recent article you just wrote in Newsweek, kind of on the latest outbreak, and maybe if people have made resolutions about their health, maybe that included getting a flu shot, but give us a little update on the seriousness of the flu outbreak.
Right. So the latest article that I've written about the flu is based on data that the CDC releases every single week. And they've been tracking this pretty steadily. As you can see, this is a bad season. A lot of people are going to their doctor to go because they think they have the flu. It's a really difficult season for a lot of different reasons this year, and I can get into that if we like. But the number one thing is probably the type of flu that's circulating here. It's a bit of a nasty one.
What does make one year worse than another?
Well, there's a lot of different factors, and it's hard to necessarily compare each year. One thing that you'll hear flu experts say every single time they talk to you is that when you've seen one flu season, you've seen just one flu season. This year, the factors are pretty simple. It's the strain. This particular strain called H3N2 is associated with people going to the hospital more, people being more sick. It's also harder to vaccinate against. So new data shows it's about 17% effective this year against that strain.
Yeah.
Not to mention,
should people still get the flu shot,
Absolutely.
even though we're already into? Okay, yeah,
absolutely. It's still not too late to get the flu shot. We're about halfway through flu season, and so it takes 2 weeks to kick in. But
yeah,
2 weeks is enough time, and you should still try and do it.
Okay, so if you are watching this, go get your flu shot. if you have not already. So moral of the story there.
Please get your flu shot.
Please get your flu shot. And do things like, I mean, I know because I read the New York subway all the time, I'm always carrying hand sanitizer with me. Is that kind of thing helpful, or is that really doesn't do that much good?
From what I understand, hand sanitizer is helpful, but washing your hands is better.
Okay.
They're, getting back to basics, also covering your mouth when you cough or sneeze.
Tell that to the people on the subway.
Exactly.
So I want to bounce to another health issue first before we let you guys go. Today, February 2nd, actually, is Go Red for Women Day, Wear Red Day. And Dr. Greuner, tell us a little bit about, okay, so what should women in particular, as this is a day for women, be aware of insofar as heart health is concerned?
The biggest thing, I think, is that people are starting to realize, and there's a lot of data on this, that women's heart disease presents a lot different than men. Women are prone to a lot of other problems because of the elasticity of their issue. There's a very common issue called mitral valve prolapse, which is congenital for the most part and happens extremely commonly and associated with panic attacks. Usually fairly benign, but warrants an investigation. Coronary artery disease, which is usually a disease of older women, presents a lot different in women than it does in men. It can present with arrhythmias, with dizziness, with just an overall feeling of malaise, not the typical arm pain and chest pain as in men.
Yeah.
And there's not really a lot understood on why that happens, but there's a lot of data that shows that there's very, very different symptoms, and they need to be paid attention to, and you can't just ignore it.
Yeah. So what's the best thing that young women can do to prevent heart problems later? I'm sure that some of it is genetic and biological that you can't necessarily control. So then maybe what numbers should they look at? What should they be asking their doctor? And what should they do to prevent these things?
It's a little hard, I think, to kind of just use the generalized, advice for the general population. But some things are really important. Believe it or not, one of the biggest risk factors for coronary artery disease, sounds ridiculous, but is dental caries. So if you have a good oral hygiene.
Really?
Yeah. So a long time ago, we thought this was just based on cholesterol. But we now realize that atherosclerosis is an inflammatory disease. And one of the most common causes of inflammation throughout the body is dental caries.
So interesting. So brush your teeth and wash your hands and get your flu shot.
It's another reason to have a nice smile. Yeah.
I love it. No, I mean, it's basic common sense, right? So, wow. So it's not that hard, actually. Kate, Sheridan, thank you so much for your work and your article, and Dr. Greuner as well, for being such a wonderful advocate for health. We will hope to have you guys back. You'll join us again?
Yep.
Of course. Wonderful. All right. Thank you guys so much.
you.
Thanks.
All right. So really excited to welcome our next guest. Her name is Amanda Richards. She is Bustle's fashion and beauty editor and the host of Bustle's podcast called The Bodcast. So welcome, Amanda, to the show. So excited to have you.
Yes, nice to meet you. Nice to talk to you.
Pleasure. And I have been such a fan for a long time of Bustle's commitment to body positivity, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, because of my own struggle with an eating disorder and then a lot of the work that I do on that. There's just so much misunderstanding about body shape and size, weight stigma, eating disorders, and just disordered eating and diet culture generally. I mean, it's just, there's so many heads of the Hydra. It's like, how do you, you just chop one off and a new one grows back. But you are in charge of a lot of different things at Bustle and some really cool movements for 2018. Before we jump into the podcast, I want to ask you about the Ban Flattering campaign.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we decided editorially that we were going to ban the word flattering across our entire website. So lifestyle content, entertainment, fashion and beauty. We're not going to describe any celebrities' outfits as flattering. We're not going to push any certain kind of outfit in the fashion section as flattering. We just kind of wanted to remove that word because we found that it's usually used to tell someone that they look thin. What they're really saying when they're saying that dress is flattering on you is saying it makes you look thin. And we don't necessarily think that thin is better. We think all body types and all clothes are great, whatever you want to wear. So we just thought, well, what could we do to express that? And removing flattering has proven to be really great. People have responded to it really well.
Isn't that incredible? And also when I think of it, the word, I remember my grandmother, when I would go shopping with my grandmother and she'd be in the dressing room and she would say the word flattering a lot. It's kind of like an old fashioned carryover from a different culture. And how have your readers responded? Have they noticed? What has been the response?
I think some of them are still, feeling like, hey, flattering is a compliment, which I totally get. I mean, if you're just being introduced to this conversation, it's kind of like, wait, no, I thought that was a good thing. But then as we've sort of pushed our body positive content, I think more and more people are thinking, you know, hey, there's a better way to describe that you like someone, what someone's wearing besides saying it's flattering. You can say, oh, I love that dress. I love that print. You look amazing. You look so confident. And I think giving those alternative options, people are sort of responding to that really positively.
Yeah, and fashion is an expression, right, of who you are, not a hiding or a tailoring.
Totally.
Or a creation of you. It should be an expression.
Yeah, and I think no matter what style of clothing you like, I mean, at my size, somebody probably would say, don't wear polka dots, but here I am, you know? Like, I think no matter what you like to wear, you should be allowed to wear it, even if it's not, you know, it's breaking some kind of rule that we don't even know who made that rule in the first place.
Right, seriously? So. Right. So talk about the Bodcast and what you do there, because it's not just about body positivity. It actually spans a lot of different body issues.
Yeah, the Bodcast is, so I'm a fashion and beauty editor, but this is totally separate, but it is for Bustle. It's pretty political. We do episodes that are about feminism and body positivity, but through a different lens. So it's not just about fat or thin. It's about marginalized bodies, all different kinds. So people of color, trans people, people with disabilities, and each episode this past season focused on a different theme. So we had a trans teenager comment with his mom and talk about that experience of transitioning. We had a comedian in Kentucky come on and talk about how hard it is for her to get health care. So it's been really interesting highlighting these different stories. And
yeah, do you find that as, you know, people kind of come out, feel more comfortable coming out or expressing if they are someone who is in what society marginalizes as a body type, do you think this newfound, like, their voices are helping and are trying to change the culture and change the stigma? Like, do you see that starting to change, you know, among the general population? Because it's been really bad for a long time.
Yeah, I think societally we're like, it's slow going, but when I see, you know, people sending me emails saying, I never thought that I could tell that story. Like I had a writer who is also a trans teenager, and she lives in a really small town in the middle of Appalachia. Yeah. Came to me because she listened to that episode of the podcast. You know, she saw that story reflected in her own life. And so I think those are like the small changes that lead to the overall larger change.
Yeah.
So yes, I think the short answer is yes.
Yeah. And it's work like what you're doing that helps that. All right. So moving on from the Bodcast, want to talk a little bit about one of the most recent themes, and this is fascinating. I read some of the articles on the website, kind of the next fashion frontier being women with disabilities in fashion. So, I mean, and you know, shame on me. I read the article and I'm like, I didn't even think about that, which is the whole misunderstanding, mischaracterization, you know, ignorance. So what's the deal here? Why should we think about this, talk about this? Why is it important?
So I worked a long time writing about plus size inclusion, and for that, it's just a change of, okay, like cut the clothes bigger. It's pretty simple, actually.
Yeah.
But when it comes to people with disabilities, they have a whole list of other needs from their clothing that, you know, most brands actually don't think of. Like, you know, if they're not able to use zippers or they can't do and undo buttons, need certain kinds of pants that don't require assistance to get on, that kind of thing. And it's just really not available yet, but I think it's starting to be noticed. Really small right now. It's not something major, but there are brands out there that are beginning to pay attention. And I think that is something that, like, in the past, people have just assumed, okay, well, if you have a disability, you just kind of take what you can get.
Yeah.
But why should you have to? Why can't you express yourself through fashion? You know?
You know, I when I was reading the article and thinking about this, I volunteered at an event a couple weeks ago in New York for kids with developmental disabilities and mental, not physical challenges. And it was a fashion show. And there were a couple brands there which make clothes specifically for these children who, you know, have a difficult time dressing themselves and need, you know, things that just like you're talking about. And to see their confidence, and they were so excited. And then even in some of the dressier, you know, pieces, like they rocked it.
Right.
But again, it was like I didn't even think about that before.
Yeah, I mean, it's like every day I get up and I put on my clothes and you take for granted that what that autonomy means, like being able to just get up, walk to the dresser, get your clothes and put it on. And if you can't do that, and on a regular basis, and you're then presented with options that let you, the confidence is just amazing. The increase in confidence and feeling like you're your own person and you're not reliant on other people. It's really, really, really special. So I hope that it's something that we see more and more of in fashion.
Yeah. So last parting insight, I'd love to hear from you. Where's body positivity going in 2018? I'm sure you're going to say the outlook is positive. I hope we're trying to breed a culture of optimism here. But what's kind of the trend in body positivity for 2018?
I think moving away from keeping the conversation just about fat and thin and making it about trans bodies and bodies with disabilities and people of color and, just sort of pushing the conversation beyond size is where I think we're headed.
Yeah. So. Amazing. Thank you, Amanda, so much. Thanks for
me.
your great work. And we will have you back for absolute sure. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Such a great conversation, and I'm really looking forward to more chat about body positivity as we go forward. It's one of the topics we're definitely going to be focusing on. All right, so we're going to go to our next Bold Life segment called Bold Women. We have our host for this segment and my dear friend, Francesca Lana, with us today. Francesca is the founder and director of ERA International, which is a luxury real estate company. She's also president and co-founder of NetworkHER, which is an organization that seeks to connect professional women around the world. So let's welcome Francesca on Skype. Francesca, are you with us?
Yes. Hi, Kirsten.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. You're joining us from London today, right?
Yes, exactly. We are in London. It's 5 p.m. So as you can see from the windows, it's quite dark.
Yes, you've got a couple hours on us. Before we jump to the special guest that you've brought for us today, we're really excited about this Bold Women segment. And one of the reasons that you and I connected so well from the very beginning a couple years ago when we met was that we just had organizations and a passion and a desire to help empower other women, right? That women have to be each other's cheerleaders and supporters, whether it's in business or nonprofits, fashion, health, whatever it may be, that women need to support other women. So before we dive into the guest, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing with NetworkHER?
Absolutely. First of all, Kirsten, I love those pictures. It's a great memories. I'm really fun with those pictures. And I would like to say that I'm very, very happy to be here with you today. And I'm very excited for Bold Women, really. And so from my experience and extensive conversation that I always had with many diverse women, I realized that there is huge and tremendous need and desire for women to receive support. And even the most self-reliant woman can really benefit from the support of other women. And I love the collaboration. I'm a connector, and I believe that one woman's success can generate another woman's success. Women encourage teamwork. Women can create opportunities for other women. And I feel always so blessed because I have a very wide network of vibrant and dynamic ladies. And I feel always so blessed to have a wonderful friends, as you are, for example. And I wanted to build the same global community of support that I've been able to develop for myself. So basically, NetworkHER is a global community of women that support other women. And my desire and what I really look forward is to helping other women to find their life mission so they can too discover the great joy and inspiring and connected other women.
I love it. It's so incredible and so neat to see how you've turned, okay, this is what's working in my life and this is where I find joy and, turn it to try to help others do the same thing. It's I think, what we all hope to do in our lives. So, Francesca, you were kind enough to bring a fantastic bold woman for our first segment this week. We're going to bring in Vanessa Noel and have a conversation, the three of us. So Vanessa is currently a shoe designer, but she's also worked in the hotel and restaurant industries and as a gallery owner as well. And obviously, I mean, the success of your shoe line is just so incredible. So you've had this varied career. Tell us a little bit about maybe some of your favorite pieces and how this journey has been working in so many different industries.
Hi, Kirsten.
Hi.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here today. And actually, this is my 30th year designing shoes.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is incredible.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And as a shoe designer, I've not sold my label yet, so it's really still owned by me and a female, and that's sort of an incredible thing in today's world.
Yes. Yeah. 30 years. So, and hit some of the highlights. I mean, your shoes have been featured on Princess Diana. You've been on Oprah, Martha Stewart. Who else? Whitney Houston, in Sex and the City. I mean,
Adler, yes, in Sex and the City in 2008. I will never forget about that because she was wearing the stretch alligator boots that were basically, they became the signature of Vanessa. Am I right, Vanessa?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, I brought a shorter pair of those today, which is the stretch alligator, which
oh my gosh, gorgeous.
which are really beautiful. And Kim Cattrall wore them, on her upper thigh.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Fun things,
Absolutely
okay.
beautiful.
This is something I'm exceptionally proud of. I work with tanneries also, and so we created the stretch alligator, and then I created translucent alligator.
Oh, my gosh.
So we turn these skins organically translucent, which is, it's still in the planning process.
Yeah.
I wanted this one tie-dyed, so just having some fun being a little crazy in Italy.
Oh,
which
my
is a really neat
gosh.
thing. So you're going to see this soon to bring some new things out and about.
Amazing.
My new project that I'm working on, being 30 years old in the industry, is I'm opening up in the United States, here in New York, our very first shoe museum.
Yes, I heard about this. This is incredible. Okay, yes. Please share your insight because this sounds amazing.
So it's for everybody, shoes, historical. There'll be a big focus on designers, dead and alive, private collections of shoes. I want people to understand how shoes are made, what all goes into the process, the changes over the years with shoes. For me, shoes are not accessories. We can't go out of the house without shoes. So they're necessities. And years ago, really, shoes were more curtailed to what you did in life. So the shoes were different. I mean, men originally wore high heels. Women did not.
Yeah.
And so today, there's not really shoes just for what we do. I mean, we look at shoes more like fashion and comfort.
I remember, Vanessa, you did many interviews, but one of my favorites is where the one when you were basically say that shoes are like sensual arts object, and they are like the like sculpture, basically like natural, elegant extension of a woman leg. That's just amazing.
Absolutely, Francesca, and I'm so glad you remembered that. But it is, it's an extension of our leg. So in my perspective of designing, I don't want the shoe to wear me.
Yes.
I want to wear the shoe.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
for all women out there, you don't need to detract from your body. So wear something that just continues on those sexy lines and is gorgeous. It can be fun and creative, but it shouldn't take over everything.
Yeah.
And shoes are very sexy.
Oh, yes, they are. Francesca, I know that you and Vanessa are such wonderful friends. So tell us why you asked Vanessa. I mean, you are the first bold woman. So
Fabulous.
Yeah, exactly. When I called Vanessa and I said, Vanessa, she knew a little bit about our project. She knows how close you and I are, and we have many things in common, especially this new project. And I said, Vanessa, I would love to have you on the show as a first bold woman. First of all, because I love Vanessa, and as a person, she's a wonderful friend, but also Vanessa is like a rainbow of colors. She does so many things. She has so many projects, and she only talks right now about the shoe museum. But I know that she actually has another new project that is very, very exciting. And I would like her to talk about it. So she's in the middle of writing a book, another one, about wedding shoes.
Ooh. Oh, yes.
That's really amazing. And I would like to know more about it, please.
So in my 30 years, I became a premier shoe designer of the wedding shoes as well. And there's been no book about wedding shoes ever produced. The history of wedding shoes
Strange.
and the reasons why. You know, who knows why? I can't believe there's not a shoe museum in the United States either.
Yeah.
I mean, with such phenomenal artists as shoe designers are, there should be one. But yes, Francesca, so she knows I'm writing this book, and I'm so extraordinarily excited. And also to teach women about when they're getting married, why shoes turned white, all these different reasons behind the white wedding shoe
Yeah.
and wedding
Also,
shoes.
I remember regarding wedding shoes in particular that in 1991, if I'm correct, you designed the shoes for Mariah Carey's wedding. And also, I remember that Vera Wong actually asked you to basically to design her first collection for the wedding shoes for her wedding collection. Is that true? You remember those days?
That's true. That's true. That's when Vera had started and was the huge trend of wedding dresses.
Yeah.
And but I designed them with my name still in the label. I wanted it to be for her and exclusive for her, but they're still my designs, my shoes.
Amazing.
And yeah, so we went on to do many, 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 many different famous wedding shoes. People used to fly in. I created what I called the White Collection. It was for women, instead of being stereotyped into a particular shoe or dress that people felt you had to wear. Before Vera, everyone was stuck in sort of Edwardian, Victorian looking gowns.
Yeah, yeah.
So I designed white satin cowboy boots, white satin flip-flops,
Oh,
mules in all
white
different
satin
sizes.
flip-flops.
So wherever you were married, whatever you wanted to wear,
Yeah.
you could.
I come back to New York, I'm gonna take you because it's like heaven. Really,
Shoe heaven. Shoe heaven, the real one.
with exotic skins and fur, and there are so many eco-friendly materials as well. Because Vanessa, you can explain to us that very often you go to Italy, you go to check particular materials, and you go to India and Kashmir sometimes as well, because every time I call you, you're all over the places because you always want to have something new for your new collections.
So about 20 years ago, near one of my shoe factories, there's a big tannery complex with many different tanneries. Yeah. And a lot of the people who live around there in the shoe factory all were riddled with cancer. And it was a big issue. And a lot of this was because of the chemicals from the tanneries, from, treating these skins that we can use. So I tried to figure out how to create sustainable and more green skins and products. And this was really, 20 years ago was really before the green movement really pushed through.
Yeah.
So we removed chromium and we did all these things. And this is how, we get these skins. The translucent is really an organic way we treat these skins. And from there I did open the first green hotel on Nantucket.
That is incredible. Wow.
So I do find all these natural products. I love Francesca. I love that you don't forget any of this.
Yeah.
All over the world.
We've got to wrap up, unfortunately, but I could talk to you for hours about
I'll come back.
about this. Yeah, we'd absolutely love to have you back. And Francesca, you are going to be such a gift to the show, and we're so excited to do these regular Bold Women segments. And thank you for inspiring us.
Before I go, I would like to make a toast.
Ah, yes,
With
bold toast.
Let's make a toast. A cheers to all the fabulous women, to us, and to all the bold women that we will be part of this show and our segment.
I love it. Cheers. À votre santé.
Cheers. I'm proud to be the first.
Yes. And I'm actually going to drink because if we don't, it's bad luck.
Exactly. Okay.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, lady. Bye, Francesca. We will see you next week. All right, so now we're going to welcome a familiar face, Bold founder, Carrie Sheffield. She is going to come by and talk a little bit about this show and some plans for this segment, what we're going to be doing here every Friday. So Carrie, welcome.
Hello.
So you're usually in this seat.
I know.
And I have been in that seat. So thank you so much for this show and all of the hard work that you've done in building Bold. Before we dive into the Good Housekeeping segment, which is what this segment is going to be, we just did a Bold Women segment on women's empowerment and women that are accomplishing things. I mean, how do you feel having built this brand? This is the third show. I mean, you're a rock star. How do you feel?
Come on.
No,
Well,
seriously.
No, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for the team. So I completely believe in teamwork. I am running around, I'm going on Fox or CNN or MSNBC. I'm running around like with a chicken with my head cut off. So I'm not in the office very often, and we just communicate over Slack, over email. I mean, we have a virtual office in many respects of how the team works together. And the team is very hardworking and believes in the purpose of Bold. And the purpose is to help advance human flourishing, which is the purpose in particular of Bold Life and focusing on things. I have the show with Klay where we fight about politics all the time.
Yes.
And we have a business show where we have entrepreneurs and startups. But this show is something that is really going to focus on building who we are and building our characters, building our families, building our homes. So I'm so excited about what we're doing, and you are the perfect host for this. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, well, I love it. And I think you're so awesome. And I think what's so important for people to know about Carrie, because I'm sure she doesn't talk about herself very much, but just like the vibrancy, the optimism, and just kind of like the leap of faith that you're always taking, which is so important for an entrepreneur. And you believe in everything you do so wholeheartedly. And I think it's just such a really good message, because a lot of times we find ourselves just doing things, whether it's professional, personal, et cetera, without really believing in what we're doing. But you do.
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
Thank you, Kirsten.
Yeah, so let's talk about what we're going to be filling this segment with normally. It's our Good Housekeeping segment. So tell us a little bit about what we can expect, because this is really exciting.
Yeah, so I am super excited to be working with Good Housekeeping. So this, very first episode of Bold Life, this is to give you a preview of what's coming down the road, and also to let our viewers know we want to hear from you. So Good Housekeeping has so generously offered to allow us to tap into their celebrity network, to tap into go to the Good Housekeeping website and find an article that maybe on the print side you're interested in, and we can make it come to life in the three-dimensional TV live side. They also have something called the Test Kitchen, which is the Good Housekeeping Test Kitchen. So
exciting!
We've got the up on screen there. But the very famous Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval, which is legendary. It's been around for a long time. They are going to allow Bold and our Bold family to go into their test kitchen and kind of look under the hood to see how they come about putting that seal of approval. Because, the whole concept of the Bold Life show is to help you live your boldest life. And part of that means understanding new products, just kind of taking things apart and saying, okay, what's good, not being afraid of new products, because I think that that's something we hear a lot of, and we'll get into this in our next segment. People sometimes get afraid of new things. And so we're going to be exploring with Good Housekeeping, how can we embrace the good changes that are coming down the pike.
Yeah. And also I would imagine, it's empowering and arming people with information, right? Because we're always afraid of what we don't know necessarily. So that kind of will give us a window into, okay, how does, an institution like Good Housekeeping evaluate some of these things and, then create and have, new ideas or innovate or, whatever, kind of peeling back the layers so we can all be a little more educated and make better decisions, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And better food.
Right. Oh, yes, yeah.
Well, and Test Kitchen.
Right. Yeah. So we had Bustle on with their Bodcast. So we're going to be doing something similar with Good Housekeeping down the road, where we'll have regular Good Housekeeping talent coming on. And so we're very excited to be collaborating with Hearst, which is the parent company of Good Housekeeping.
Yeah, amazing. Great work. Super excited for that. I will go in a test kitchen and make stuff. Probably people won't like it very much, but I will.
It's worth it. It's all about the journey. If you enjoyed making it, then that's all that matters.
Right, exactly. I don't know if my omelets would get the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, but
we'll find out.
We will find out.
Yes.
Carrie, thank you so much. And we're going to actually keep Carrie here, and we're going to move on to our next segment, which is brought to you by one of our bold partners. I mentioned them at the top of the show, Independent Women's Forum. Carrie is staying on, and we're also happy to have the senior fellow at IWF joining us, Julie Gunlock. So welcome to the show, Julie.
I'm so thrilled to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so very, very excited to tell our viewers a little bit more about Independent Women's Forum. What exactly do you do? What's the mission and vision of the organization, and what do you do there?
Sure. Well, IWF, the Independent Women's Forum, has been around for over 25 years. We are a women's group located in Washington, D.C., and we are run and staffed entirely by women, so that's pretty cool, and mostly moms. So we're very good at juggling. I've got kids outside the door back there hoping they don't walk in. So
that would probably be amazing.
We'd have another BBC moment,
Yes.
BBC Dad, where internet gold, Julie. Give us some internet gold.
Hey kids, come in. No. So the mission of the Independent Women's Forum is we try to keep women informed about issues that they care about. And we know women care about a variety of issues. We say that all issues are women's issues. But we also, as an organization, try to promote policies that will make life better for women and give them more flexibility and more freedom. We want women to live their best life, right? A bold life. And so in many ways, the way you do that is staying out of their way and letting them make the decisions that are best for them and their families.
Yeah, so kind of on that vein, and Carrie and I did a little preview of this, something that you guys are, really promoting, talking about is this culture of alarmism. And it's not necessarily something that is dominating headlines right now, but this subject does have to do with dominant headlines. So so give us a little primer on the culture of alarmism and the problem that it presents and the threat it is to the freedom that you talked about.
Well, it's interesting. It sounds like it kind of sounds scary. I actually try really hard to reassure women. And why we see this as a fundamentally women's issue is because the alarmist messages, the constant drumbeat out there in the media and on television shows, daytime television shows, is that you're in danger and your child is in danger and that products out there are either poisonous or toxic or somehow scary. And there's a lot of guilt that goes along now with parenting. And this really, really harms women. I mean, it takes the joy out of parenting. It makes people very nervous. And so we try to, or specifically I, try to write on a lot of these claims. You see ridiculous claims out there. Everything from, if you let your child have a goldfish cracker when they're hungry, that's terribly, it's terrible to do that. It's not nutritious. I mean, there are alarmist claims about the soap you're using, the crib sheets. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And I think that the effect on parenting is it makes parents very nervous. And again, it takes the joy out of parenting. Parenting can be a wonderful experience. But if you're constantly nervous about things and made to feel guilty about things like, did I breastfeed long enough? Oh my gosh, I got a C-section. All of these things start to really chip away, I think, at the joy of parenting.
Yeah, and it also causes, I mean, my sister-in-law is a relatively new mom. We're at the stage of life where a lot of our friends, Carrie, you and I, are having children. And so it makes people so judgy, too. So judgmental, right? Because they're like, well, I saw this study that says that you can't, X, Y, or Z, whatever rule that they're breaking. But talk a little bit about the fact that it's not even maybe necessarily that the person writing the article or the study that's being done wants people to be made afraid, but it's the news organization or the social, that is trying to drive a clickbaity headline.
Yeah, right. No, and that's part of why Bold was founded, was to help not go on the clickbaity approach to things, which is why IWF and what you guys are doing with Cultural Alarmism, I think, is a great partnership, because you guys are really trying to cut through the noise, because there's so much, and I think it happens, it doesn't matter where you live. This is something that's universal in terms of people living in fear. And we want people to embrace their boldest self, to not live in fear, and I love that's what you guys are doing.
Well, look, I think, in the parenting world, and not just the parenting world, but in living in general, there's sort of this, you're good or you're bad. You're perfectly virtuous or you're devilish, and I think that there needs to be, especially with parenting, I think there needs to be a new title, and that is reasonable moms. There's nothing wrong on a busy night if you need to throw a frozen pizza in the oven, and yet women are made to feel terribly guilty about that. You're told you better make every meal from scratch, preferably from vegetables you've grown in your own backyard. This is sort of the standard. And so I think that there needs to be more reasonableness. But when we talk about the media's involvement in this, look, I get it. Scary headlines, they are the ones that get the clicks. I'm sitting here saying everything's pretty good, guys. Like the child mortality rate is way down. We're living longer than ever before. Poverty's down, crime is down, literacy is up. You've got all these data points that say great things. Well, that doesn't sell as much as, hey, this is really scary and I'm going to tell you how to avoid this. So I think pushing back on it is very important. And again, it's very hard to live a bold life if you're afraid. So this is a really, I think, critical issue for women to hear.
Yeah, so great. And thank you for the work that you're doing on that and spearheading at IWF. And, I think you said a really great work, something, it doesn't sell.
Right.
It's about money. They want your money. If they can make you afraid enough to buy a product or spend money in this X, Y, or Z, people are motivated by fear. It's the same issue that we have with, sex sells, right? Or if you make women feel bad about their bodies and they're going to buy your cellulite cream and your, and spend loads of money on makeup to, cover up their perceived flaws. So it's kind of like taking the issue back and stopping and thinking and being aware and say, okay, what are they trying to sell me? And I can make that decision whether or not I want to buy it. You're not going to drive my dollar spending by making me feel bad about myself, That's
absolutely right. It's a great point. Fear is very profitable. And when you are afraid, you are much more likely to acquiesce to government regulations or bans or things that take away your freedoms. Fear is a very motivating emotion.
Yeah. So, Carrie, how can we not be motivated by fear?
Well, I think fear often comes from a mentality of scarcity. Versus a mentality of abundance. So, if you're always afraid of, your circumstances or what's happening to you externally, that's inherently denying your own power inside of yourself. And I think that that's something that a lot of women are afraid to embrace their own power, to say, I don't need some big outside force to protect me because I am bold and I am enough inside. I can do it. I am capable. I am a capable parent. I am a capable individual. I think that's really what it comes down to, in my opinion. But what do you think, Julie?
I think that's absolutely, that is an incredibly thoughtful perspective on it, because I do think, and that's why the activists know this. They know that if they tell women, look, this product or this particular thing that you're doing is harming your child, that is going to create a market change. That's going to create a demand. And so it's incredibly powerful. So they know to target women. And that's why it's important that there be good sources of information on these things and that women can trust, and that women know, look, if a group is telling you to be afraid of something and then they're offering an alternative, another product, that's probably not a good or trustworthy source.
Right. And especially, I think it's not about being anti-science or burying your head in the sand. Like, I know even in our comments section right now on the Facebook page for Bold TV, and please put your comments, we're having people who are disagreeing about vaccination. And I know that's something that you guys look at IWF is the science behind vaccines and how important it's a public health crisis to not vaccinate your child. But so many people are living in fear. And, having all the information, not just clicking something that's, low value, clickbait, something you saw on the internet, versus really digging into the science, getting all the information and making an informed decision.
And getting a wide variety, I think, of opinions too, or not opinions. Reading a wide variety of sources, reading different perspectives. We all get into our own echo chambers on social media and with the news organizations that we look at. If you only get your stuff from one source, how valid or credible is the information?
I have a lot of sympathy for people who are concerned about these issues and vaccine safety, even though I am fully pro-vaccine. There is so much information. It's hard to sift through. And so I feel a lot of sympathy for people, a lot of compassion for people who are afraid of that, because again, it's very hard to find those good sources, but hopefully we can help people with that.
Yeah.
You're our guide for that, Julie.
Yeah. Thank you, Julie, so much for taking the time. Thank you for your work on the Culture of Alarmism project. And I'm really, really thankful for everything that Independent Women's Forum does and for supporting Bold Life. It's incredible work you do, and we're so excited to have you guys as a partner.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So thank you, Julie Gunlock from IWF, and Carrie Sheffield, as always. All right, so really excited. Our next segment is our Bookstr segment. So Bookstr is a website for book lovers and much, much more. Today we have author and holistic lifestyle expert, Klay S. Williams. So hey, Klay.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
S. What's your middle name?
Silas. It's
Silas.
my dad's name. Yeah, Paul Silas,
it.
the whole biblical approach.
Yeah, it's a very strong name. It's becoming a more popular name. I feel like I hear a lot more kids with that name now. That
Interesting. Then, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right, so I looked up your book. It sounds amazing. The title is The Plan, or There Is Only Plan A. A Journey Towards Self-Discovery and Renewed Purpose.
Yeah.
All right. So without giving too much away, because we want people to go buy and read the book, what was your inspiration for writing it? And, what do you hope to motivate people to do with this book?
Right. It's really interesting because when I thought about the concept of the book, it was, I was going through my week and so many different people were saying, oh, I cannot disappoint my boss. There's not a plan B with them. There's only a plan A when it comes to making sure that they follow all these executions from their boss, their mom, their relationship. And I just said to myself, what if we actually flipped that on its axis and we empowered ourselves and lived plan A for us to discover your purpose and calling in life, to live your very best healthy life, as well as to reflect your value inwardly and allow it to flow outwardly.
Yeah, it's so, and I feel like I hear, there are so many more workshops now, books, focus on what is my calling, what is my purpose in my professional and personal life, not necessarily going work life, but how do we blend? And, as a young person, why do you think that our generation is so obsessed with that conversation, whereas maybe our parents or grandparents' generation was like, you just go to work 8 hours a day, you do your job, doesn't matter if you feel called or not,
it's really interesting because I think when people see something that that they reference as old, or they reference as something that's a pattern, at least our generation, we want to fix it. We want to figure out how we can improve upon it and how we can sort of create new avenues for ourselves. I think our parents' generation, they were kind of like, I know what the problem is, but I don't necessarily want to create something that's necessarily new. And I think our generation, we want new, we want innovation, we want to be able to figure out how we can combine so many different, we have so many different passions, how we can actually combine them all into one.
Yeah, and so in conjunction with the book, you're developing a course with Deepak Chopra.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So tell us a little bit about that.
All right, so it's a 21-day online course, and it's really unlocking your purpose and unlimited power. It's taking an in-depth look at what are past pathologies that's preventing you from discovering your purpose, from living out, your life. I think so many people have like this idea of, I know what my dream is, I know what my goal is, let me go towards it, but they forget about the steps in between. You need to really figure out, are there people that I need to forgive? Is there past residue that's preventing me from really, truly being able to get there? Because when we get to the idea of you're discovering your plan, or get to the idea of success, how do you actually manage success once you're there? Yeah. And that is the real ringer.
What are some common, as you mentioned, I love that you use the word pathologies because we think of that as like a biological or physiological term, but it refers to our soul and spirit health as well.
Absolutely.
Which not enough people think about that.
Yeah.
I've been through so much therapy in my life because of my eating disorder that I'm so like, no, pro-therapy, like people need to discover this stuff. But what are the common barriers usually to people getting there, just living their plan A and living their calling?
Conditioned beliefs, looking at their mother, their father, their guardian, however they grew up, and believing that that's the only way that life will meet them. It's the idea of fear, not flipping that on its axis to have this emboldened power of courage. A lot of people lack courage, and that's, I think, is the number one barrier. And then the other part of that is finances. A lot of people have dreams, hopes, and wishes, and they want to go the extra mile, and they think they have to quit their jobs, or they don't have enough money to start this, or for to really begin that. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck as it is now.
Yeah.
And it's really, honing in to who you are as a person, who you really want to be, and then finding the courage to meld both of those avenues together.
Yeah, so inspiring.
Yeah.
So what has been the response with the book? And also, where can people find it and find you online? Because this is such an important message.
The response with the book has been really great. I just had a call last night from, I used to consult for Dress for Success, and these were women who were,
amazing organization.
Right?
Yes.
And they hired me to coach a group of women who were underemployed and who were trying to find new avenues to increase their career. And one lady called me last night. She was on welfare, and she was trying to get her kids in better education, school systems, and things like that. She took the course and that I offered, and she just called to tell me that she started a brand new business. Her profits are up. Her life has completely changed. She's changed from her lifestyle perspective of even she doesn't smoke anymore. Her kids are doing really wonderful, and she's enrolled in this small business program at Columbia University, and she's really doing it. Yeah,
that's amazing.
And so it's that kind of perspective. And then I have on the other end a client that is just she's leaving finance after 15 years and was just accepted to Columbia midwifery program because she did the work of really understanding that there really is only plan A for you in your life when you really have the courage to go after your dreams and your passion. And the book is just the avenue towards, I think, discovering that.
Okay, so where can people find the book and the course?
Right, so the course, you can go to my website, clayswilliams.com. You can look on Deepak Chopra's site on Jayo. It's a new app that you can download on your phone. And my books you can get at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever you buy your books.
Oh my gosh, and are you based here in New York?
Absolutely.
All right, got it. Wow, so very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Are you writing another one soon?
I am, yeah.
Okay, you are?
Actually right now, and it's my secrets to how with or without money or with whatever the perception is, you can have access to get into the best rooms, have the great conversations, and network with people, and
this is
figure
so
out,
true.
It's everything. How can you look the part? How can I give all of my entry secrets?
This is so true. You don't need to have money or status necessarily, and it's all about confidence, all about how you project yourself, and you just walk in like you own the room, and people treat you like it.
It's a practical and a spiritual approach, and I'm going to teach you how to do that.
I love it. Klay, you are an inspiration. Please come back.
Thank you.
We would love to have you back. Yeah, incredible work you're doing.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. The book is There Is Only Plan A, A Journey Towards Self-Discovery and Renewed Purpose. So check it out. All right, our last segment. We have some more inspirational guests, if that one wasn't inspirational enough. We have more. We're excited to welcome makeup artist and beauty expert Marsha Page and Kara Eschbach, a co-founder of Verily, which is a women's fashion and lifestyle website online. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Marsha, so nice to have you. Oh my goodness.
To be here. Thank you.
Okay, so last segment, and this is obviously we want this to be very, very positive and uplifting for our viewers. And it's great that we have you both here because Verily actually just published a great article about how to start your morning in a positive way, right? So, Kara, enlighten us, because a lot of us wake up early for work or a workout and are like, and my life sucks right now, and it is going to suck until I get coffee. So what are ways besides coffee that we can start with a productive day?
You know, what's really interesting to me is we've done a lot of research on, morning routines and things like that, is that actually, even if you're not a morning person, everybody needs a morning routine, and everybody actually can do their best work in the morning. And I'm not a morning person, so the first time I read this, this cannot be true, but it actually is. So a couple of things that we talk about in this article in particular, one is actually having a glass of water right next to your bed. Mm-hmm. If you get up, it actually gets your metabolism going faster in the morning, and it helps you wake up a little bit faster.
Yeah.
The second one is don't have your phone next to your bed. I know.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's so tempting.
So hard, I know.
We hear about it a lot at night to not have the blue lights because it helps you or it keeps you awake. But actually during the day and the morning as well, a lot of people tend to have the same reaction. Mm-hmm. And you also get caught up scrolling, and then suddenly your day is started off immediately with like, I just wasted 10 minutes on Facebook.
Yeah.
We can all do that at any point during the day.
Yes.
For that. Instagram, whatever your drug of choice is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think those are two like really simple, easy ones. And then there are just little tips about what are the things that really help you get really happy in the morning. You know, one of the writers that we had was talking about taking a really deep breath and getting their breathing in alignment, or having a good breakfast. Even if you're not a breakfast morning person, again, it kind of jumpstarts your metabolism and gets you going.
Right.
And the biggest thing really is to try and simplify your morning routine and make it so that it's a habit and something that gets you out and gets you started in your day.
Oh yeah, I do downward dog like every morning.
Do you?
Like the yoga pose, because I have to get, it helps with breathing, right? Obviously, because your rib cage can expand, but also it gets the blood like rushing to your head. And it just, and I, having grown up as a dancer, like just really important for me to like feel my body, feel my muscles, get your like spine lengthened. And it's like, even if I'm tired, that always gives me a little pick me up.
I think that's true throughout the day, not just in the morning. If you're like, oh, I need to just like stretch rather than have another cup of coffee.
Right. That is a good idea. I definitely can speak to the social media portion of that. Like having the phone right by your bed is the worst thing, because we want to focus in the morning on our own gifts, our talents, our abilities, and our purpose for the day. So when we go starting the day off like this, you kind of get sucked into, you know, people's highlight reels of their life, and you start to kind of like feel bad about yourself.
It's like you haven't even gotten out of bed
yet. And you're feeling mad. So, you don't want to do that. So I could definitely, I've had those moments, and I definitely try to just veer away from that and just focus on, you know, being thankful.
Yeah.
Starting off the day with gratitude.
Yeah.
Yep. Thinking about what I have, and, you know.
Isn't that, yeah. I mean, we live in America. We're fine.
Yeah. Exactly. We have a lot to be thankful for with all that it has going on here.
Yeah. You know, I have to take my dog out first thing in the morning, too. I was just thinking about this, and I'm actually very thankful for that, speaking of being thankful, because even though sometimes I'm super tired, it gets me outside first thing in the morning. And that is huge. I mean, even if it's dark, to see the sky and to breathe in the air, even if it's cold. I mean, that is also very, like, it's one of the benefits of living in New York. You have to kind of get outside and walk everywhere. So, you know.
Get up and going. Well, what's interesting, a lot of research actually points to getting up right away, too, and putting 2 feet on the floor as soon as you get up.
Really?
Helps kind of jumpstart your brain, which I never used to be a morning person, and that was kind of a goal for 2017 of me. And it really does make a difference just to be like, I am getting up, and I'm going to get myself ready. And now suddenly I'm like, oh, I can start my day at 8 o'clock rather than at like 9 as I'm running out the door and being really rushed.
Right. Yeah. So all great tips for not only morning but throughout the day. And if you have not checked out Verily magazine, the website, it's verilymag.com. Online website. It's awesome. Really some of the best. And I get the weekly emails, and it's always just a really fresh, like in-depth and very smart look at things that are going on in a woman's world, but substantial, not fluffy. So thank you, Carrie. You do amazing work. And Marsha, so we want to bring you on and have you do your Marsha's moment. Oh, because you deserve more than a moment, frankly. But you're all about inspiration and gratitude and everything. So what's inspiring you this week as you look forward to 2018? You know, what's lighting your fire, so to speak?
What's lighting my fire is, I think, tapping into, you know, we all have our gifts, talents, and abilities, and we always want to tap into them. And I'm just trying to set my intention every morning to, like, think about how I can maximize and optimize those gifts, like whether it be focusing on my branding or focusing on just even taking continuing education classes as a makeup artist and learning new trends.
Amazing.
Just all those types of things to, like, keep myself creative and focused on, you know, my purpose and walking in it. And, you know, so that's really where I'm at for 2018. And I think that it's important to set your intention for the day, you know, so that you don't get off track, and stay positive, because life hits hard sometimes.
Yeah, every day.
It hits hard every time, but you know what? There's always something good to come out of every situation. The good, the bad, the ugly. We can count it all joy and be able to profit from all of it. You know, whether you learn something, whether you're growing by the experience, all of that, something good can come out of it. So that's how you can remain in that positive frame of mind no matter what you're you're facing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Marsha, you rock, girl. I can't wait to have your moments.
So do you.
I just need it. I'm like,
Yeah, bring it.
Preach, girl. Thank you both so much, Kara
it was
from
a pleasure.
Verily and
Thank you.
Marsha. Yeah, so excited to have you both. Thank
Yep.
you for the great work you're doing, inspiring me and everyone else.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, guys, that is our show. Thank you so much for spending this hour with us. I know we got you 4 minutes over, but we appreciate you staying on with us. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you loved this show, share it with your friends. Share it on Facebook, Twitter. You can find Bold TV on all of these social pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and all of the above. And also let us know what you're passionate about. If you want to hear more about something or hear us discuss a certain topic or hear about something from one of our guests, let us know. Send us an email. Find us on social media. And because we want to talk about what you want to talk about. So again, Kirsten Hagland, it's been wonderful to share this morning with you. Go out and have a beautiful, bold weekend. And we'll see you next Friday. Ciao.